his shoes and see if he's wearing them out in a certain spot.
Checking out with
Soy sauce? Everyone's been busy doing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one.
Did these boys get acquainted with anybody special around San Francisco?
Hi, it's November 23rd, 1987. I'm Wren. We're here to celebrate the 82nd birthday of Laura Mae Anderson Andy Wren. And we're going to find out once and for all, this is a video biography, by the way, and this is the chance for us to find out once and for all, was it a black horse or a brown horse in that barn? There's been a lot of question about that. And we'd like to find out also, is it Sevierville or Seaverville? And there's been a lot of discussion on that. So here's our chance to find out everything that Grandma Auntie never would tell us, and we're going to find out and get the whole truth down. Thank you.
If she remembers.
Who is here tonight? Who is this guy?
As we're looking around the round table, Eric Abrahamson, illegitimate son of Sharon Abrahamson, daughter of Laura Mae Wren.
Hi, I'm Sharon
Laura Mae.
Wren Abrahamson, mother of this illegitimate boy, daughter of Andy Wren.
I'm Kathleen Abrahamson. I think I'm this woman's granddaughter. I'm here tonight to find that out.
Hi, I'm Carol Abrahamson, third offspring of Sharon Abrahamson, and granddaughter to Laura Mae.
Hi, my name is Dick Abrahamson. I'm Andy Wren's favorite son-in-law. Not to say I'm the only one, but I'm the favorite one.
What is the meaning of Laura Mae Anderson? I am her grandson, David Wren, and I'll attempt to answer that question later tonight.
What do you want me to say?
Go ahead, introduce yourself.
I'm Jan Wren, and I'm married to Andy's son, Ron.
Favorite one.
Favorite one, right. It's her favorite son, Ron. Right.
Christopher Wren, beloved grandson of Andy Wren, and here to pay tribute to her tonight.
Find out the truth about Laura Mae Anderson Andy Wren. So let's start with Tennessee. How did your family, and who were they, how did they get to Tennessee?
Who knows how they got there? I'm not sure. We just were there.
Okay.
In Anderson Bend.
What was Anderson Bend?
That was named after my father's family, and it was a little community in the mountains of Kentucky, or Tennessee.
All right, who were your parents?
Mary Eliza McLaughlin and Joseph McDonald Anderson.
And where was Mary from?
She was from Danbridge, a little village not too far from where my father was raised.
And your father, where was he from?
It was called Anderson Bend, but it was near Needmore. Needmore? Needmore.
That's where they had some more.
It's no
He had
longer
a lot
there.
more.
Well, what happened to it?
Well, there's a little store, I saw it a year ago in October, and there's a little store that says Needmore, but there's no town anymore.
Well, what became of it?
It just was passed up by bigger communities, I guess.
Okay, you were one of 15 or 20 children? How many?
One of 8, the 6th of 8.
Okay, who were the brothers and sisters?
Oh, that takes a little thinking. Minus, Dennis, Beulah, Kate, Kyle, and then I'm next, and then Ellis and Sally.
Out of the town, what was the town where you were born?
Well, it was in the country, in Hamlin County, but it was a little town of Russellville, I believe,
And where is that?
in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee.
And what did you do there? How long were you there?
Until I was 9 years old, I lived there, and then we came to Idaho.
You didn't go to Arkansas.
Well, that was another interim.
Well, tell us about it.
My father was sort of a restless man, so we made several trips back and forth.
Why Arkansas?
He said they had the whitest people and the blackest earth he'd ever seen.
Or was it the other way around? It might have been the other way around.
My father loved farming, but he was a poor farmer.
Why? What was his occupation?
He liked to fiddle on rainy days. And I always thought he was quite a good violinist, but my mother said he truthfully wasn't. And he had that violin that you still have.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, she'd get annoyed with him, and instead of making him go to clean the chicken house, she would do it.
All right, how did you get to Idaho?
When my father died, his brother, Addison, we used to call him Uncle A.A. because we didn't care much for him.
Did it have anything to do with his drinking proclivities?
No, he was a holy roller in the church, I think. But anyway, he came back when my father died and convinced my mother to come to Idaho
What year was that?
in 1912.
And how did you get there?
We came on the train, and one of my aunts, the one I'm named after, made 3 little pillows for we younger children. We played with them in the first half hour we're on the train. We lost them all out the window. we didn't take a sleeper, couldn't afford to. And these pillows were supposed to be relaxing for us, but we threw them out the window.
How long was the trip?
Oh, about 4 days.
Riding in chicken cars.
We had a house that was built next door to my Uncle Addison. It had a 6-foot fence. And the minute we got there, my Uncle Addison wanted to tear the fence down. My mother said, he had 7 children, there were only 8 of us. My mother said, you better leave the fence up. But he took it down. And it wasn't very long till we were quarreling with our first cousins.
15 of you?
Wow.
Wow.
Anyway,
Mom, wasn't that the house where Beulah and Aunt Kate had the bedroom that didn't have any wood on the floor?
I'm not sure about that, whether that was a house or not, but it was a crude little house.
And they have the bedroom that had tamped down, what was that? Tamped down soil?
Yeah, and we put a rug on top of it, and it made it kind of cozy.
Andy, how old were you
Well,
at this
you-
time when you left Tennessee? How old were you?
6.5 years old when
And
my
you
father
remember the
died.
trip?
Oh, sure. But this Aunt Laura made us these little pillows. Those were supposed to make us relax and rest, you know. And we got throwing them back and forth. In those days, you opened the windows and got cinders in your eyes. We tossed them back and forth, and in a half hour, we'd lost all of them.
So did you just amuse everybody else on the train for the next 3 days?
We probably worried them to death.
Ready to start school when you got to Idaho? Was that your first school experience?
I didn't start till I was almost 7, and it was embarrassing because when I was finishing the 8th grade, every other kid in the room was 13 and I was 14.
I think you should take that off the video.
Oh, my grandma.
They didn't send us to school until we were ready, and it was about a 3-mile walk, and so my mother didn't send me. So I was gonna be 7 in November when I started school,
What year was this?
1913, I guess.
Big terms. How did you pay your bills in these early days?
Well, we didn't have a lot of money, and my mother, I think my father had already sold his farm in Arkansas. And the new owner let us stay because he was ill. And so as soon as he died and Uncle Addison came from Idaho, we went back to Idaho with him. And I think my mother had $4,000. She put it into a business with him, and he went broke.
Why?
Well, he didn't know how to manage a store, and so
Do you think that's hereditary in the Wren genes?
I think he went broke a little bit full-handed. We never were allowed to talk about him disparagingly, but we didn't like him. And he went down to Oregon and started a new business by himself, so I think he took advantage of his poor brother's widow.
So how was your mother able to support you 8
Oh,
kids?
golly, who knows? We had a brother who was 19 years old, and instead of being just a typical teenager like might be later, he got a job and he helped my mother with her problems. We were young, you know, I was 6.5 when my father died, and they were 2 younger than me.
Do you remember your father?
Oh, I remember more what's been told.
Do you
than I-
remember him playing the violin?
No, I don't remember that. But on rainy days, my mother said he always got the violin out. And instead of cleaning the chicken house, which he was supposed to do, she
Drove
did.
everybody out of the house. Grandma, what I'd like to know is, who was your first boyfriend?
Joe Evans.
And who was he?
Well, he was a little young fellow in Louisville, Idaho, this town of about 500. And as I say, I don't think he knew I was alive, but I thought he was beautiful.
Is he still alive?
I don't think so.
You were back there not too long ago. Did you look him up?
No.
Well, who was your first kiss thing, Grandma? Let's get down to basics
my.
here.
And when was it?
I think his name was Edgar Huffman, and I found out later that my sister, who was 4 years younger, was crazy about him, and I didn't know it at the time. But I believe that was Edgar Huffman.
Aha,
What year was that?
I was 17 years old.
Well, still.
School in Idaho. Wasn't it a one-room school or something?
No, we had 3 teachers. It was quite a big school. Mrs. Taylor was our principal's wife, and Mr. Taylor was the principal of the school, and they taught everything from kindergarten through the 8th grade.
What was your favorite subject?
Oh, golly.
What did you hate?
Math.
Oh,
Okay, now I understand where I.
Yeah.
that way too, better than average.
I think I was.
Were you on any game shows?
Did you feel that you were more absolved in the chores of farm life, or did you have particular hobbies that you like to do? Or?
I thought I'd never want to see a farm again. When I was growing up, I had a boyfriend who had 1,000 acres of ground and farmed it, and I didn't want to be a farmer's wife.
What did you raise, Grandma? What kind of things were raised on your little farm? How did you have chickens and cows and
We
stuff?
had a cow and chickens and a garden, and that was about the extent of our farming.
Mother, what I want to know is, what's the story about your mother crossing the creek with the milk buckets? What was the story on that?
You remember that?
Yeah, what happened?
Well, we had a neighbor who had cancer, and she liked buttermilk. And my mother decided to take a little walk. Instead of going around the road, she went across the pasture. And she stepped on what she thought was a solid piece of ground, and it turned out to be a floating piece of ice. And she went in the creek up to her neck.
Was that the first ice cream?
Well, anyway, to make a long story short, a few days later, Ellis and I were late for school, and we went across, to save a little time, we went across a plowed field that was frozen, but when the sun came out, it kind of was soft, and we went in over our shoe tops and had to go back home, and she didn't have any sympathy for us because we had done this trick, and we kidded her about going to save a few steps. She'd gone across this pasture and fell in, and she could have drowned. And when she came home with her clothes frozen, she didn't even catch a cold.
Did you laugh?
Of course we laughed.
Your mother had a good sense of humor.
If she hadn't, she'd have killed us all. Yeah, she really did.
She made you laugh, and she had a really good time.
She had an awful lot of responsibility, with all of us to take care of, but she had a sense of humor. Once in a while, in a good mood, she would tell us about her childhood, and it was always entertaining.
Where was she born?
She was born, I think, in Dandridge, Tennessee.
Do you know when?
No, I just.
1870.
And how about your father? When was he
He
born?
was born in 1865.
Now, how are you related to the former governor of Tennessee?
Well, the only thing I know about it was my grandmother was Harriet Virginia Zever, and her grandfather or father, I'm not sure which, was the first governor of Tennessee.
Her grandmother a happy birthday. She's calling from Santa Cruz.
Oh, that's nice.
And what is her question?
And do you have a question to ask her or that you would like to know? Someone just asked her when her first kiss was and by whom. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe what does she remember about you when you were little?
Ooh, we're getting to that.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're just warming everybody up for that one.
Uh-huh. Yeah. What are her first memories of you? Maybe she's
Ron
about to
had
answer.
a new job
Okay, she wants you to tell Diane's story when she was little.
to tell us about his new job, and I was holding this 6-pound little new grandchild, and he said, "Mother, you're not listening." And I was so intent on making that baby smile, and I didn't care whether he had a job or not.
I did, because if I didn't have the job, I couldn't afford that new child.
Yeah, but she was a real cute little thing.
Grandma, why don't you tell us what an average day in the life of Laura May was like? Like,
Oh.
did you really walk 3 miles through the snow to go to school, or?
When I was growing up, I thought I had the most boring life that anybody ever had. I thought it was awful. But the 3 miles to school were kind of fun. And we had some neighbors who we felt were pro-German. And at a certain crossroads in the road, my brother and Otto Eichner had a fight every night because they were pro-German. But I thought we had the most boring life imaginable. But looking back on it, was probably not too bad.
In high school, no, you finished high school, and you went to a normal school, and you became a teacher. What was that story all about?
Well, I didn't think I could afford to go to college, and so I went to the Lewiston Normal School, which is no longer a school, and I passed my grades and taught 1 year in a little country school that had 8 children and 5 grades.
And how old was the oldest one, Mom?
About 12, and he knew as much as I did almost. He was in 8th grade. No, he must have been 13. He was in the 8th grade.
You finally met your husband to be, getting a small town girl all the way out to Los Angeles, the big city.
Well, Kate and her husband, Buck Williams, came to Idaho and got Sally and my mother and me, took us back in August of 1926 to Los Angeles. And I didn't know sherbet from a goblet, but I answered an ad in the paper for a September sale for Dorman's. And I stayed 3 years, and that's where I met my husband.
Was he your manager?
No, he was a buyer by that time, though. He had been 7 years with Dorman's by that time, and he was out of his overalls and in his best blue suit, and he was kind of a cute guy.
Well, what kind of an approach did he make?
Yeah.
Oh, as I say, I finally learned the difference between a goblet and a sherbet, and every time I took a check to him to have it okayed, he would hang on a little extra long and ask me where I lived and a few little personal questions, and I thought he was a city slicker, and I wasn't sure I wanted to tell him too much. But anyway, he turned out to be a real nice guy.
I'd like to find out how Grandpa, what was the incident where he proposed to you?
The incident.
Oh golly, I think we just find it, I don't remember that he ever actually proposed.
Do you mean we're illegitimate?
We got married, but I don't remember the occasion really.
How
Where-
long had you been together before you were married?
3 whole years, and it was sort
All
of
right.
wasted time.
Where were you living?
Did you hear what she said, Mother? Say that
It took
again.
too long, really. 3 years was a long courtship.
Did you ever think about living together?
You don't live together those days. I suppose if it had been done, I would have, but it wasn't done.
Well, there must have been some threshold between the time that he was just prolonging signing a check and issuing it back to you and the time when he finally asked you out for a date. And what was that first date like? And explain, I'd like to know kind of what you were doing at Dorman's and what that was all about and what it is.
Well, Dorman's in those days had all the movie trade, and I really had 2 or 3 movie stars who came in and asked for me. Finally,
Who were
I
they?
learned the difference between a sherbet and a goblet, and they opened on Flower Street, which was a beautiful street, in June of 1927, and it was a luxurious place, but the Depression came on pretty soon, and things got kind of bad. But anyway, the opening of this store this day, Max came around and asked me to go home and rest in the afternoon, and would I come back that night and help Mrs. Westfall set the tables. And I thought, if this guy sends me home in a cab, he said, I'll see that you get home. And I thought, if he sends me home in a cab, I'm going to hate him, because by that time I kind of liked him myself. And he took me home, and that was the 10th of June, 1927.
And how old were you?
21.
And that was your first date, more or
That,
less.
So her second kiss.
At least her second kiss.
But 3 years, it was 3 years later we got married.
And it was?
Louise Glenn.
Who is Louise Glenn?
Well, she was a girl that kind of took advantage of her father because he was kind of
Innocent?
innocent. And he took her out a time or two, and about Christmas time, her father asked him what his intentions were. So he was kind of stuck for a while. But anyway, he came on Christmas Eve. He went to her house and gave her an engagement ring. And by 9:30, he was at my house.
So their engagement ring?
Yeah, he did.
That's
Was it the
it.
same engagement ring?
I don't know much about what happened, but I know he was at my house by 9:30, and that wasn't a very exciting romance for her, I felt.
Married, and where did you first live?
Oh, don't you want to know about our honeymoon?
Yeah.
Be chronological.
We stayed the first night in
You have
the
any paper
Knickerbocker
towels out there,
Hotel for $7 a night, and I thought it was beautiful.
Big spender.
And the next morning we left for Yellowstone. And Max had been there before, but I never had. And some friends loaned us a folding bed of some kind. The first night we got there, the snow was on the ground, and Max was heavier than I was, and his side went down in the dirt, and I was up in the air. Before morning, we threw the bed outside and slept on the ground. But anyway, that was the worst of the honeymoon. The rest of it was kind of nice.
For himself here, so we have to get a little insight
Yeah.
into Grandpa Max and everything. And was he? What's things about him really appealed to you?
Max was a hamburger and milkshake, and with some other fellow with a lot of money and a lot of entertaining in fancy places.
All right.
Baby Ronnie, yes, and baby
Well,
Sharon.
wait. Before you
Let's talk about Planned Parenthood. Who wanted to have kids?
I'd like to ask a question.
Uh-oh.
I wanted to find out from you what you liked about being married and what you didn't like about being married.
I liked it all. I really did.
Uh-huh.
I just knew it was the right thing.
What irritated you about Grandpa?
He didn't pick up his dirty laundry. I remember that one.
I'm not sure. He wasn't perfect, but almost.
His snoring mother.
Oh, come on, Grandma. Everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about it.
Everyone in the Tri-County area.
It reminds me that snoring, I could have killed him on a few occasions.
Born and when and what?
Let's talk about conception now.
You were born in Glendale.
And how did I get to the beach?
To the beach?
Didn't we go to Hermosa Beach or something?
Well, we moved to Hermosa Beach when Ron was 6 months old, and we stayed until he was 13 months old. He learned to walk, and he learned to chew cigarette butts at the village at the beach. I used to meet our good friend Helen Jones at 10 o'clock every morning down on the beach with Ron. And one night I got home and found that his little shoulders were all blistered with that thin skinny head and red hair. And I felt terrible, but we had a...
I felt terrible.
Yeah, you must have. You must have.
So you.
Okay, from the beach, then where?
Well, we moved to Glendale,
What year?
1932.
And then when did Sharon materialize?
Well, Sharon was born in 1934, and I was real happy to know I was pregnant until I had lost 14 pounds from heaving every day. And I was kind of sorry we planned that one.
Three. Thank you. Coming from such a big family yourself, and your husband coming from a family of only one, why did you guys quit at 2?
We're lucky enough to have a boy and a girl. I thought that was plenty to take care of.
What did Dad say?
Was it Max at home quite a bit?
What do you mean, was he home?
How did we get from Glendale to San Jose?
Oh, what was a relief. Max's mother was in Los Angeles, my mother was there. I had 2 sisters, both divorced, and we had them every Sunday at our house. and I had a hired maid, a hired girl, wasn't a maid because we didn't pay enough to afford a maid. And the kids didn't mind any of us. My mother would tell them what to do, the maid would tell them what to do, and I would, and they didn't mind any of us. So when this job came up in San Jose, I didn't care whether it was wind under my bed or not. I was just gonna enjoy being by ourselves. It was nice.
Just as a little sidelight, Mom, could you tell us a little something about this girl that you had living with you? I seem to remember her name was Jerva.
Yes, this little girl was named Jerva Haynes, and she came from Oklahoma with her family of about 9 children and a mother and father. And we sort of bribed her to stay with us for $10 a month and board and room. And she went to high school from our house. She was a terrible housekeeper or ironer or everything else, but she was there.
But didn't she bring a few interesting things with her?
Did I what?
Didn't she bring a few interesting things with her?
I don't remember what you're remembering.
Oh, I thought when she cared for your darling baby daughter, that something was given to your daughter from,
Oh,
that she brought along with her.
we had a terrible time. The baby, who was about 8 months old, broke out in a rash, and my mother was sitting in her chair, and she said, whatever that girl has something wrong with her. Well, it turned out she had 7-year itch. Scabies.
I don't think she had a 7-year itch.
And the poor baby didn't know enough to scratch or anything but scratch. But anyway, I didn't know how to approach her about something that made her scratching all the time. And my mother said to her, she went away for the weekend. When she came back, my mother said, well, whatever she had, she hasn't got it anymore.
How'd you get rid of it?
Well, I don't know.
She
but
gave
there
it
was
to me.
There's a treatment for scabies,